What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be talking about the heavy shotgun in Fortnite and why I think the striker pump is the better choice. If you guys do enjoy this video or find it informative or helpful, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you would like to see more, and if you want to see me live stream on Twitch and talk about these things live or ask me any questions, my Twitch will be linked down in the description below, but it's just Evolve Jake, just like my YouTube channel name. So if you guys aren't aware, the heavy shotgun was added in Chapter 3, but it's actually been reworked from how it was in Chapter 1. In Chapter 1, it functioned like any other shotgun in Fortnite, really. But in Chapter 3, it's a slug, and I feel like a lot of people who play Fortnite haven't really played other shooters, but a shotgun traditionally shoots a spread of pellets, and then your damage is based on how many pellets that you end up hitting on target, whereas a slug condenses all of those pellets into a single projectile, and then you just either hit it or don't. It's not shooting multiple things out, so you only are shooting out one thing. It makes it harder to aim, but typically the slug shotguns in video games have higher damage and more range, and that is exactly how the heavy shotgun works. And because of that good damage and range, a lot of people have been like saying that the heavy is incredibly overpowered, and while it is good, I don't think it's overpowered, and I think it's best to kind of think of the heavy shotgun like a hand cannon. In the same way that the hand cannon dealt its damage for a good distance, but you shot out one bullet and you either hit that bullet or you didn't, and that's how your damage was calculated. That's exactly how the heavy shotgun is. You shoot out one bullet, and then whether or not you hit that bullet, you get damage or you don't get damage. It's not like a shotgun where it's really easy to hit shots, but you don't have the most range and you don't have the most reliable damage. That's kind of the trade-off. When you have like the traditional shotguns, it's really easy to hit something. You're going to hit one pellet probably, you know what I mean? It is a little bit harder to hit all of your pellets and get really good damage, but if you shoot in the direction of somebody, you're probably going to hit something. Whereas the slug, it is much harder to hit your shot, but it is also much more rewarding in terms of more range and damage. And when I say it is much harder to hit your shot, there is an aspect of skill to that, but I also feel like there's an aspect of RNG to that just because of how Fortnite is as a game. If you play Fortnite a lot and you get decent lobbies where people build, I know skill-based matchmaking can drastically change the game from player to player, but assuming that you have lobbies where people build and most fights divulge into some sort of build fight or some sort of editing being used to finish a player, I feel like the heavy shotgun isn't that good because when you hip fire it, it's really inconsistent whether or not you end up hitting the shot. When you ADS, you can guarantee that you're going to hit the shot based on your aim, but hip firing, it doesn't feel reliable at all. And most fights I get in Fortnite, I'm going to be hip firing my shotgun. There's going to be clips here playing on screen where I fight people with shotguns probably, but if I'm in a build fight with somebody and I have height, I want to keep like Tifu jumping and shooting at them and then building underneath me. And I don't really have time to aim in that circumstance. If I do end up hard aiming and taking the time to do that, the other person is probably going to take height. If you take someone's wall and try to edit on them, and then after you confirm your edit, you make sure you ADS and go to their head and make sure you hit that shot, you're probably just going to die. Especially with how the meta is in Chapter 3, if you do that, odds are the person is just going to walk forward and spray through the build with an SMG and then keep spraying at you. I feel like the heavy is a decent gun and it has a good amount of potential, but for how Fortnite is played, I would much rather just have the pump and have like the ease of use that the pump brings and hit them for something. It's not going to hit as hard as the heavy most of the time. The heavy and the striker pump are actually balanced to be similar damage based on rarity. Like if you have a green pump to a green heavy, they do the same amount of damage if you hit a perfect shot with the pump, but it's unlikely that you will do that. But at least with the pump, when you're hitting somebody, or if you're aiming at somebody and you pull the trigger, you are hitting for something every time. It might not be the best damage, and I know a lot of people complain about shotgun damage being inconsistent in Fortnite, but from my experience, a majority of the time where I have good aim, I hit good damage with the pump, and the times where I only hit one pellet or whatever, it's because my aim wasn't good. And if I'm making an edit play on somebody, or if I'm in a build fight with them, I just want to be able to shoot at them and do some amount of damage, especially with how the Chapter 3 meta is. Like I already said, the striker pump and the heavy do similar amounts of damage. It just really comes down to the heavy seeming like it does more because it does more consistent damage. You always get the same amount of damage with the heavy. But either way, there's similar amounts of damage, and you're probably going to have to swap to your SMG at some point in the fight to finish the person if it does go on for decently long. And if I'm in that situation where I've shot at people with my shotgun and then I have to swap to my sub, I almost always would have rather used the pump, because at least when I'm shooting at them with the pump, I'm getting some amount of damage. I might shoot someone twice with the heavy during a build fight and end up not hitting them either time and getting 0 damage. Where let's say I hit 2 30s with the pump. That's a pretty subpar shot, but that's 60 damage. that 60 damage is so much better than 0, which you could potentially get with the heavy. It's just so all or nothing that I feel like for a lot of players, this is not going to be the gun that you desire. And I think a lot of people are gassing it right now just because it's new. And for a shotgun, it has a lot of range, and they don't really think about the fact that it's more like a rifle than it is a shotgun. And in the terms of like, it's not shooting any spread of pellets and you actually have to hit your one shot. I just feel like the heavy is not reliable in that sense. It's kind of hard to talk about because like the pumps are inconsistent on damage. Like you might get between 30 and 150 damage based on your aim, but the heavy is just inconsistent in terms of like you hip fire at somebody, you might get 0 damage, you might get like 170. It is so just hit or miss, and I really do not like that in a gun. I feel like the pumps, I guess consistency, it's weird to say because we think of the pumps as inconsistent, but the fact that you're just able to consistently apply damage to your opponent over the course of a fight with the pump, I feel like matters so much more, because if you're facing a decent player, you're probably not going to just be able to shoot at them with the heavy. They're probably going to be building. They're probably going to force you to edit on them in order to get damage on them. Like, I just feel like if you're in lobbies where people build, the heavy shotgun is really not that good of a choice, even though it does have a lot of upside. Like, it has a lot of upside, but like, how often are you actually getting that upside? I feel like a majority of the time, the striker pump is going to be better. And I've played with both a decent amount at this point, and pretty much every time I use the pump, I'm happy that I ended up using the pump. And there's like always fights where I'm like, wow, I'm happy I had the pump here. I wouldn't have been able to do that with the heavy. So those are my thoughts on the heavy shotgun and why I carry the striker pump and why I think the striker pump is still the better gun for how Fortnite players play. If you just have the best aim in the world, maybe the heavy is for you. Or if you're in really low skill lobbies where nobody builds, maybe the heavy is for you. But I feel like for a majority of players, the striker pump is a better gun for playing out Fortnite fights. If you guys did enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Also, comment down below what you think of these shotguns. Do you use the heavy or do you use the striker pump? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Kind of need to be somewhat reserved with my spray now. I guess we only have 240. Right now I'm just trying to spray them all down to the same layer so they fight each other, and then I can third party it. While holding height, because height is really busted this season. They just helped each other. Alright, I need to stop spraying. I didn't get ammo from him either. Thanks. GG's. Told you. That's like, it's so cheesy, man. This meta is so poop. But that's legit all you have to do. Is hold height end game, spray down on people, and try to get them onto the same layer so they fight each other. And like, they will always pretty much do it. Like, people don't think like with a brain. Like, they're just like, whatever the nearest thing is to them, they fight it. Like, one of them will end up shooting each other, and then they'll respond to it, and then you can just third party. But once again, like I said a million times during that game, the one dude who I fought at height, I don't think I could have killed him with a heavy. Where I just took the floor cone when he was trying to take height from me and then quick edited both and pumped him.